For the record, I have no financial interests in Saudi Arabia or Russia, for that matter. Any suggestion that I have is just more fake news, of which there is plenty.
You are lying. You are a liar.
You're lying. You're a liar.
Let's talk about, Ali, the finances and what Trump said today on Twitter. For the record, I have no financial interests in Saudi Arabia or Russia, for that matter. I don't know why he threw that in there. Any suggestion that I have is just more fake news, of which there is plenty. What's the truth there?
The truth is that at 9:15 a.m., the president made my job a lot easier today, because that is about the easiest tweet to prove.
Hasn't he bragged on the opposite?
Oh, he's talked about it. He talked about the business that he does with Saudis. He says they do a lot of business with me. There are several examples going back into the 90s.
Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me. They spend $40 million, $50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much.
The president has accepted the denial of someone whom he considers a political ally over accusations, from Roy Moore to Vladimir Putin. Listen to just a couple of examples.
He denies it. Look, he denies it. I mean, if you look at what is really going on, and you look at all the things that have happened over the last 48 hours, he totally denies it. He says it didn't happen. And, you know, you have to listen to him also. You're talking about, he said 40 years ago this did not happen.
I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
Just spoke with the King of Saudi Arabia, who denies any knowledge of what took place with regard to, as he said, his Saudi Arabian citizen. I've asked, and he firmly denied that.
But the president's acceptance of Saudi Arabia's denial are wrapped up in a long financial history. Beside the arms deals that the administration made with Saudi Arabia that the president pegs at $110 billion, he's had a long personal financial history with the Saudi government and Saudi billionaires. This spring, after the president's New York hotel saw nearly 2 years of declines in room rentals, the Washington Post found that a stay by the Crown Prince's delegation boosted rental revenue there by 13%. A year earlier, the Saudi government paid for lodging, catering, and parking at the president's Washington, D.C. hotel for groups lobbying against a bill that the Saudis opposed. The total tab paid by the Saudi government, $270,000, according to the Post. But financial investments from the Saudi government and individual Saudi billionaires goes back well before the president's term began. In 1991, then businessman Trump was flirting with bankruptcy until a Saudi prince bought Trump's 282-foot yacht for $20 million. 4 years later, the Trump Plaza Hotel was losing money. The same prince joined with other investors in a $325 million deal to boost the Trump property. And in 2001, the 45th floor of Trump World Tower was sold to the Saudi government. They paid $12 million for the real estate across the street from the United Nations. The president even bragged about his business dealings with Saudi Arabia during the 2016 presidential campaign.
Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me. They spend $40 million, $50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much.
Have you had any dealings with the Russians?
Well, I've done a lot of business with the Russians.
They're commies, you know that. They're commies. Well, there's Vladimir Putin. Have you ever met the guy?
Tough guy. I met him once. I don't know Putin. I have no idea. I never met Putin. I never met Putin. I don't know who Putin is. Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, and we did very well. What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I was in Russia. I was in Moscow recently, and I spoke indirectly and directly with President Putin, who could not have been nicer. I never met Putin. I don't know who Putin is.
You are lying. You are a liar.
You're lying. You're a liar.